There's going to be a wonderful theme today to be able to really talk about how we help each other through this incredible journey that we call life. And, for me, I have to start off with, the story of why is it that every office, whatever environment you are, kind of has that person, that guy, the one that sends those 3 a.m. emails and then brags about it, how they only need 4 hours of sleep. If you can't think of anyone right now, I don't know. Might that be you? But here's the real question. When did burnout become a badge of honor? And more importantly, what is it costing us? Not just in productivity, but in people. There was a time when I thought being a great leader meant being everywhere, for everyone, all the time. I thrived in a university environment as a university administrator, student events, staff meetings, impromptu drop-ins. One of my most favorite memories was coaching student speakers for commencement, helping them take their raw nerves and turn them into magic on stage. I loved seeing them shine, knowing I had played a small part in their success. I thought I was thriving because all of the students, all the people around me were thriving. But behind the scenes, I was running on empty. My cracks were starting to show. And I was too busy being that strong leader to admit it. And then it happened a few years ago. I was awake, middle of the night, 3 a.m., heart pounding, mind spiraling, and the pressure feeling unbearable. I was the leader. I was the person that they looked up to, the problem solver. However, I had a peer question my value. But in that moment, 3 a.m., I felt like I couldn't solve my own problems. The culture I was part of celebrated workaholism, grinding through exhaustion and hiding vulnerability. And I was drowning. And I didn't know how to say, I need help. I was the one that was always asking others, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? That night, out of nowhere, I hit rock bottom. The isolation, shame, and stigma of being a leader who couldn't keep it together brought me to a breaking point. Something had to change, and it had to start with me. That morning, or I guess several hours later, I made the hardest call of my life. Through tears, I called and told a trusted colleague, I need help. That call led me to a 30-day executive mental health program where I finally gave myself permission to put my well-being first. That air flight or airline attendant, you always hear them. Hopefully you're listening to them during preparation for takeoff. In case of an emergency, what do? You put your air mask on first and then help others. So during this mental health program, it was there for 30 days that I discovered something radical. That leadership doesn't have to mean sacrifice. I reframed my mindset from work-life balance, that we always say work-life balance, and leading with life-work harmony. Balance suggests an impossible ideal, equal time for everything. Harmony, on the other hand, is about alignment. It's about leading in a way that allows all areas of your life to work together without sacrificing your health or your humanity. During those 30 days, I confronted the cultural lie that leadership requires invincibility. True leadership, I learned, begins with vulnerability. It means showing up as your full human self, so your team, including your family, feels safe to do the same. When I left the program, I knew I couldn't go back to the way things were. I knew I could do more. And I retired from that role and I took a leap of faith, aligning my career with my values. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. So, how do we transform workplace culture with mental health focused leadership? It starts with walking the talk. Let's talk about three things. Number one, lead with transparency. Share your story. According to the 2024 NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, Mental Health in the Workplace report, 80% of employees with mental health challenges say stigma prevents them from seeking help. Leaders have the power to break this stigma by being open. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength in its most authentic form. Number two, model self-care. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Workaholism is not a badge of honor. Normalize mental health days. Encourage employees to take time off and lead by example. Why? Because Generation Z and millennials, who now make up the majority of the workforce, expect this from their leaders. If you're not modeling well-being, they'll notice and they'll leave. Number three, foster psychological safety. A culture of fear leads to silence, a chilling effect. But a culture of safety, that leads to innovation, productivity, and loyalty. As leaders, we need to create environments where people feel safe to speak up, not just about work challenges, but about their mental health too. These steps aren't just abstract ideas, they're backed by data. Workplaces that prioritize mental health see increased productivity, higher employee satisfaction, and reduced turnover. And if you're not in the C-suite or the executive suite, you can still lead the way. Share resources like the NAMI report I referenced. Advocate for change by asking, what steps can we take to support mental health care? Be the voice that sparks transformation. Faith has also been a cornerstone of my journey, reminding me that grace doesn't demand perfection. It requires simply presence. It gave me the courage to believe my struggles had meaning and that I wasn't walking this path alone. Faith also taught me that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about the humility to admit when you don't. Vulnerability has become my superpower. Sharing my struggles has fostered trust and created spaces where others feel safe to do the same. As Charlie McKeesey writes in his book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to give up. These words remind me that seeking support, whether from faith, community, or professionals, is not an admission of failure. It's an act of courage that says, I'm not done fighting. So imagine this, a workplace where vulnerability is celebrated, not penalized, where employees feel safe to say, I'm struggling, and leaders respond with support. Picture the ripple effect of prioritizing mental health, not just at work, but in families, communities, and future generations. This isn't about just your workplace, it's about your life. The ripple effects of prioritizing mental health go far beyond the office. If you're a leader, ask yourself, what kind of culture am I creating? If you're not in leadership yet, ask yourself, how can I influence the culture around me? What's the one conversation you can start today that could change everything? Mental health isn't just a personal journey. It's a leadership responsibility and a business imperative. Today's workforce, especially younger generations, expects their employers to prioritize mental health and foster supportive environments. Yet many leaders still adhere to a suck it up and do the work mentality. That mindset has to change. My challenge to you, start a conversation, whether it's with your team, your boss, or yourself. Begin by asking, how can we prioritize well-being here? Commit to one action this week. Maybe it's normalizing mental health days or sharing a story. And if you're ready to take it further, reach out to me. Together, we can craft a strategy to build a workplace where people just don't survive. They thrive. Life-work harmony isn't about dividing your time equally. It's about aligning your priorities with your values. So every part of your life works together. When leaders embrace authenticity, transparency, and mental health as core values, they create a culture where people feel empowered, supported, and safe. That's the foundation of thriving workplaces and thriving lives. Asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to give up. Let's stop pretending we have to do it all and start leading with the courage to be human. Together, we can transform workplaces one conversation at a time. Thank you.